Honourable Annette King.
Mr Speaker, I rise to speak in the first reading of the Social Assistance Future Focus Bill. This policy, which this bill will implement, is to give beneficiaries a kick in the backside. This is the policy this bill will implement that will tell beneficiaries the dream is over. The dream is over. The dream that the Minister herself took when she was in the position to take it, took it so that she could get ahead and get a job and bring up her family, and the dream she'd like to deny from others. Well, if I would say to that member, I have never heard a beneficiary tell me that living on the benefit is a dream. And we've just heard nothing but pure spin from that Minister. Pure spin. She said in the time we were in government, we did nothing about beneficiaries or unemployment or the whole benefit system. I'll tell that Minister what we did. We took unemployed and people on the benefit down from over 400,000 New Zealanders to around 280 in the time we were in government, Minister. That's not doing nothing. That was ensuring we put the right support in to help people to get jobs, to get training, not pulling out the support that they needed, which is exactly what this government did in the first opportunity they could. Cut the training incentive allowance, took away scholarships, did not put in the focus that they ought to in creating jobs. We now have 345,000 people on benefits in New Zealand, gone up from 280 on her watch. On her watch, and she has the cheek to tell this House that the Labor and government did nothing about beneficiaries. Well, if she thinks this bill is going to solve the problem, then she really is in cloud cuckoo land, as Paul Henry said last week. Because the first principle, Minister, is that you have to have jobs for people to go into when you work test them for a job. And isn't it interesting, Mr Speaker, that even Treasury said, don't do it now. The timing is not right to try and work test sickness beneficiaries into job. And I'll get on to that shortly. So, the Minister, if there aren't jobs out there and you're bringing in your kick in the backside and ending the dream, as you say, where are these jobs? Where are the jobs that go from 9 to 3 with school holidays? Where are the jobs for the people who are unwell, who have to have medication, have to have medical treatment? Where are the employers who are coming forward, Minister, as you blame and shame beneficiaries because they are in that predicament? Because that's exactly what this Minister is doing, standing up, talking tough, while she was quite happy herself to have the advantage that a good social security system gives this country. And I have to say that the stated intent of this bill is not meant by the bill itself. In fact, she claims that this bill will give a fairer system of social assistance to New Zealanders, a fairer system of social assistance. Let me just read what the Attorney-General said about her own bill and her policy. This is the most senior minister in their cabinet in terms of being a lawyer. He is the Attorney-General. He is the top lawyer in their government. And let me just read what he says from, I hope the shrieking minister listens, because she obviously did not read it when it came to cabinet. This is what her own colleague said, the Attorney-General. The stated objective of the bill as a whole is to create a fairer benefit system, while with an unrelenting focus on beneficiaries entering or returning to employment. While this is an important and significant objective, the different treatment of people on the DPB single parent compared to women on the widow's benefit and DPB women alone does not deserve this objective, because it does not create a fairer benefit system or encourage beneficiaries to enter the employment, nor does it recognise the benefits of work for women on the widow's benefit or the the DPA women alone. Expressed in another way, the limit is not rationally, listen to this, Mr. Speaker, the objective is not rationally connected to the bill's stated objective, nor do the distinctions appear to serve any other valid, non-discriminatory objective. That is not from the opposition, Mr. Speaker. That comes from the Attorney General, who is a minister in that government on that side of the House. This is not a bill that is fair to all people who are in receipt of a benefit. This is not our bill. It is not our policy. It is that party's policy. But they have chosen to discriminate against certain groups of women and men on the benefit. They have chosen to say that a person who receives the widow's benefit equals good. But if you receive the domestic purposes benefit and you are a single parent, you're there because you are divorced, your husband took off with somebody else, you're there because you are in a de facto relationship or you don't have a partner, if you are in that situation, then you are bad because you should be work tested, but not if you are a widow. And there's a subliminal message in that, Mr. Speaker. There's a subliminal message, and it comes from the fact that John Key's mother was a widow. She wasn't one of those DPB recipients who got themselves pregnant and then were on the state's purse. That is the subliminal message, because there is no other reason why you would not, if you're going to discriminate as they want to, say that it includes all people. The other discrimination is that men who are widowers will be work tested under this policy, but women who are widows will not be. Not our policy, that party's policy. Why would they discriminate in such a way? It does not make sense, and the Attorney General said it did not. This bill sets out some objectives and it has a clear focus on work. You know, most New Zealanders do want to work. Never forget the 3,000 New Zealanders who queued up outside a supermarket only a few weeks ago to get 150 jobs. They queued for hours because they wanted to work. They couldn't all have a job, but they wanted to work. And most New Zealanders do want to work. They want a job. But this policy says they ought to get a job. Well, if you can help people into jobs, you can help train them and prepare them and help them into work, fine. But to bring in a policy when everybody knows there's 168,000 people unemployed now, that doesn't count the jobless, is a crazy policy indeed. What did Treasury say about this policy? Treasury is not known for their sympathy, I have to say, necessarily to those on benefits, but this is what Treasury said. We do not support the introduction of a work test on the sickness benefit into legislation at this time. We recommend that the issue of work testing on those on health and disability related benefits be considered by a proposed welfare working group. That would have been the place that you would have looked at these changes. Currently, Treasury goes on to say, it's not appropriate for a part-time work test as it is designed for people who will eventually return to work full-time, because the majority do, said Treasury. Applying a part-time work test to the current sickness benefit would require someone to seek additional hours of work for minimal financial gain. For example, a sickness beneficiary on the minimum wage would receive approximately $1 an hour of additional income for each hour worked over the abatement threshold. 75% applies. That means a person who is sick, who goes out to work, will work for $1 an hour under this policy. We will not support this bill to the Select Committee. We will vote against this bill to the Select Committee. It has one or two very small assistance to beneficiaries, lifting the threshold for abatement to $100 from $80, when if they were really doing something about the real level you'd lift the abatement to it would be to $130, not $100. It does put into legislation rather than convention pegging the benefit to the CPI, and it does lift the threshold of abatement